There will be a lot of new faces on defense for the Indianapolis Colts this season. Indy parted ways with 5 starters from last year's defense: Zaire Franklin, Kenny Moore II, Kwity Paye, Nick Cross, and Jermaine Pratt. Franklin led the team in tackles for the last 4 seasons, including a franchise record 179 tackles in 2023. Cross had the second most tackles for the Colts for the last 2 seasons, and Kenny Moore II was a reliable nickel for 8 seasons. The Colts defense is entering its second season under the leadership of Lou Anarumo. Anarumo has been coaching in the NFL for 14 years. He was a defensive backs coach for 6 seasons before landing the coordinator position in Cincinnati. Anarumo's defensive system is considered complex, featuring a plethora of disguises and rotating personnel. His system is also known for being particularly game-specific, specializing game plans to best expose the opponent's weaknesses. Last season, the Colts defense really struggled against the pass. Injuries certainly contributed, as key players like DeForest Buckner and Mooney Ward missed significant time. Buckner missed 8 games, while Ward missed 10. Sauce Gardner wasn't acquired until Week 10, and only suited up for a total of 4 games. Other corners, Kenny Moore II and Jalen Jones, missed time too. Moore missed 3 games, and Jalen Jones missed 7. 2 rookie DBs who showed potential during training camp, Justin Wally and Hunter Wohler, both suffered season-ending injuries during the preseason. The Colts secondary was utterly devastated by injuries. Inexperienced corners like undrafted rookie Jonathan Edwards and Mekhi Blackman, who was acquired just before the start of the regular season, were asked to play major roles. Additionally, the Colts linebackers behind Zaire Franklin struggled to stay healthy. Jermaine Pratt was signed during Week 6 of last season after being released by Las Vegas, and he was immediately thrust into a large role at weak side linebacker. While Laiatu Latu had an improved sophomore campaign with 8.5 sacks, the pass rush could not bring consistent pressure with 4 rushers. DeForest Buckner missing 8 games was likely a huge factor. The numbers were dreadful. Indy finished second to last in the NFL in pass yards allowed per game. In contrast, the run defense was surprisingly effective. The Colts finished 7th in the league in rush yards allowed per game. While this number is fairly impressive, especially considering Buckner's absence, it is worth mentioning that Anarumo often sold out to stop the run last season, bringing a third defensive tackle onto the field more frequently than most defenses. This aided the Colts in smothering the run, but also left them vulnerable in the pass game. While Anarumo is comfortable utilizing unorthodox personnel packages, the prevalence of this aggressive tendency last season may have been the product of roster construction. The Colts lacked depth at safety and linebacker last season, so they leaned heavily on their interior D-line depth in a way that Anarumo never had to in Cincinnati. Last year's Colts defense was below average, finishing 23rd in yards allowed per game and 21st in points allowed per game. Usually, you can rely on a defense to improve in year 2 of a system, because players are more familiar with the scheme and the language, but Indy has replaced nearly half of their starting 11 this offseason. Also, 3 of the returning starters, Buckner, Ward, and Gardner, were largely unavailable for the team in year 1. So, what should we expect from this defense in year 2? Let's start with the new additions. In free agency, the Colts addressed depth on defense, but didn't land any big-name, high-end talent. They brought in 2 safeties, Jonathan Owens and Wanye Thomas. At linebacker, the Colts signed Akeem Davis-Gaither, who played for Anarumo in Cincinnati for 5 seasons. At defensive end, they added Arden Key and Michael Clemens. Defensive tackle got even deeper with the additions of Derek Nottie, Colby Wooden, and Jerry Tillery. The last notable signing on defense was Cam Taylor-Britt, a corner who played for Anarumo for 3 seasons. Let's move on to the draft picks. With their second-round pick, the Colts selected Georgia linebacker C.J. Allen at 53rd overall. Allen was a massive contributor and leader at Georgia, and he's expected to take on a leadership role for this Colts defense right away. Allen will be a day 1 starter, most likely replacing Zaire Franklin at middle linebacker. With their third-round pick, Indy took LSU safety A.J. Halsey at 78th overall. Halsey has great range and ball skills. He'll have a legitimate chance to start at safety alongside Cam Bynum this season. In the 4th round, the Colts selected Oregon linebacker Bryce Betcher at 135th overall. In 2025, Betcher led the Big Ten in tackles. A former baseball player, I'm very excited to watch his development. He'll likely begin as a rotational player, but it's possible that he could compete for the starting weak side linebacker position with Akeem Davis-Gaither in the not-too-distant future. The Colts drafted defensive ends George Gums Jr. and Caden Curry in the 5th and 6th rounds, respectively. That's it for the new additions. So, what will this new defense look like? There were 5 starting spots that needed to be filled. At middle linebacker, Zaire Franklin is replaced by rookie C.J. Allen. At weak side linebacker, Akeem Davis-Gaither likely takes over, but Bryce Betcher and Jalen Carlisle could certainly see playing time. At defensive end, there is still a bit of mystery. Jalen Tuimoloau was a second-round pick in 2025 and is entering his sophomore season. It's unclear if he'll be ready to take over as the starter. He'll have to compete with new additions like Arden Key and Michael Clemens. It's safety. Nick Cross will likely be replaced by rookie A.J. Halsey, though new addition Jonathan Owens has some starting experience. If not right away, I expect Halsey to take over the starting role at some point during his rookie season. Lastly, at nickel, I'm going to miss Kenny Moore. One of my favorite Colts. Lightning in a bottle. Returning from a torn ACL, the Colts will have last year's training camp standout Justin Wally take over at nickel. He was a third-round pick in 2025 and is effectively a rookie after missing all of last season. So, did the Colts defense get better? Well, let's consider that a system like Anarumo's requires a lot of brain power and communication from the players. With this many new starters, communication certainly doesn't get any easier. With the addition of young players, they'll likely need time to adjust to the speed and sophistication of the system. Anarumo may be occasionally limited in his play calling by the mental bandwidth of his young defense. With that being said, the 2025 Colts defense was largely missing 3 of its best players. Yes, they were 31st in pass coverage, but they consistently didn't have Mooney Ward or Sauce Gardner on the field. Buckner missed half the year too. Now, Buckner, Gardner, and Ward have all said that they'll be ready for training camp this season. Buckner is 32 now and coming off a neck surgery, but his presence alone is enormous. His size and leadership are unmatched. The Colts definitely lost playmakers like Zaire Franklin, Nick Cross, and Kenny Moore II, but they improved their depth significantly. If they get better injury luck, it's hard for me to imagine that a secondary with Sauce Gardner and Mooney Ward is 31st in pass defense this season. Also, with the improved depth at safety, I think we'll see more 3 safety looks from Anarumo this season, a package he often utilized in Cincinnati. Shout out to Hunter Wohler, the other training camp standout from last season. I have a feeling he's going to see the field sometime this season, and maybe not just on special teams. Pass rush is certainly still a concern, but respectfully, they didn't lose much of anything when Kwity Paye left. Depth at corner is slightly better. Hopefully Jalen Jones can stay healthy this season. I'll be curious to see who they have at backup nickel as well. I'm super excited to see what C.J. Allen and A.J. Halsey look like in camp. Betcher too, and McGowan on the offensive side. Training camp is just around the corner. Rookies report to camp on Monday, July 27th, and veterans on the next day. Practices begin Wednesday the 29th. If you weren't planning on it already, I'd highly recommend seeing a practice at Grand Park in Westfield. This is the last year of training camp at Grand Park. They're moving it to Indianapolis in 2027, but Grand Park is an awesome location. Come watch the Colts practice, have a beverage or 2, it's great. Totally different experience than going to a game, and you can get a first look at all these new additions on defense. Hopefully you'll like what you see. That's all for now. Thanks for listening to Indy Sports Yap. I'm Ben Holland. Peace out.